If you chronically feel numb, unmotivated, tired, or if you shut down when things get too overwhelming, I want you to know that there is nothing wrong with you. These are completely normal signs of a nervous system in shutdown. I've obsessively spent the last 5 years understanding trauma and how to get rid of this state that I was in for 18 years of my life. And in this video, I want to share its surprising cause along with everything that I've learned to overcome it. If you're new here, I make videos for emotionally numb people so that they can achieve the joy of being present in the body and start feeling again. Let's understand the basic structure of your nervous system that most people get wrong, and without which it's impossible to understand and make sense of this freeze response. I used to think for the longest of time that your autonomic nervous system is divided into two parts: sympathetic, which activates everything like the accelerator of a car, and the parasympathetic, which slows everything down like the brake. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's accurate, only incomplete. Your nervous system instead is like a ladder. The top of the ladder is the calm state of rest and digest. This is where you feel peaceful and you engage people. The second layer is fight and flight, where you get activated for action and to face danger. And the third layer, which not a lot of people are aware of, is the freeze response. When you can't run or fight the danger you're facing, you freeze, your body freezes. And because the emotional system of mammals in nature is 98% similar to that of humans, let me explain this with the example of an antelope. So imagine an antelope in an open field just calmly hopping away with his friends and family. He is in the calm state of rest and digest, the top of the ladder. Now, let's say a cheetah comes up from the bushes and starts chasing one of these antelopes. Its nervous system will shift gears into fight and flight. It will use all the energy it has to run away from this cheetah and survive, because survival triumphs everything. But let's say this cheetah ends up getting a hold of this antelope. In that case, the antelope will stop resisting, stop running, and freeze, almost like it's dead. The purpose of this freeze response is A, to increase survival, because if the antelope keeps resisting in this position, it is certain that the cheetah will finish him or her once and for all, to drag him wherever conveniently. And B, to protect the animal from pain. So in this freeze response, the animal literally does not feel any pain, even if it's killed alive. Killed alive. Eaten alive. It is this very freeze response that you get stuck in after repeated exposure to hardships and traumatizing events. I'll talk about how exactly this affects your nervous system and behavior in a bit. But if I heard this 6 years ago, I would have thought to myself, that's not true, that's bullshit. I had no trauma whatsoever in my childhood, no trauma, and there shouldn't be any reason for me to feel emotionally numb or be stuck in this freeze mode. And there's truth in that. It's not like my parents beat me up daily, and they even loved me. But then what still made me completely emotionally dead and frozen at the age of 18? I realized after years of healing and processing my trauma that trauma is not just caused by horrible things happening to a child, but also good things that were supposed to happen that were essential for the child's development not happening. It's called childhood emotional neglect. And let me give you an example. Let's say you were crying as a child, and instead of being comforted, you were yelled at and told not to cry by your parents. This might seem insignificant from an adult's perspective, but your non-negotiable psychological need in that moment was for someone to support you and help you process that sadness. When such emotional needs get repeatedly neglected, it affects the development of the emotional foundation of your brain. And the major experts on trauma say that such neglect over time causes complex PTSD, which is equally, if not more, damaging as PTSD, which is post traumatic stress disorder, happening because of instances like war, accidents, sexual assaults, and whatever. And I can personally attest to this. I've made a free tool that tells you exactly what sort of instances lead to this numbness and how much neglect you experienced as a child. I'll put a link in the description. Do check it out. But think of this antelope for a second. It faces critical life and death situations on a daily basis, much more than you and I do. And it still doesn't get traumatized or stuck in this free state, but you and I did. How do animals manage to avoid this chronic free state? Let's say for whatever reason the antelope was safe from the cheetah. In such a case, it will literally shake away the stress before running away. This is what allows it to process the trauma and not get stuck in this freeze response like as humans do, because we simply push it down and carry it within us. Let's look at how exactly this nervous system freeze shows up in your body and other symptoms. I vividly remember this one instance when I was very young and I was in my building's lift with my family and my father was yelling at my mother or something. That is when I froze completely. In that instance, my breathing was very shallow, almost non existent. My heartbeat and blood pressure dropped, and I didn't feel any emotion, fear, whatever, nothing. In fact, it felt like I went out of my body. This is an evolutionary defense mechanism called dissociation in psychology. Now, that instant was almost certainly traumatizing for me as a 3, 4 year old boy. But if I had shook out after coming out of the elevator like the antelope, I would have released that charge and not carried it within my body. In the long term, carrying this freeze response shows up as feeling emotionally dead and disconnected from the body, extreme lethargy, because think of how the antelope's body suppressed all that running energy to play dead. This freeze response is extremely energy consuming because it's like hitting on both the accelerator and brake at the same time. It causes a metaphorical and literal burnout. This lack of energy further leads to lack of motivation and feelings of purposelessness. Like, what's the point? So then how can you overcome this emotional numbness? Instead of just telling you this verbally, let me walk you through it right now. The single most habit that I've learned in the last 5 years to heal numbness is something that my coach used to call body scans. The reason they're so powerful is because they establish the connection with your body that broke off because of trauma and the freeze response. I personally do these daily and with my coaching clients in every single session. This will take you 60 seconds. You can do this wherever you are, and it's fun. All you have to do is close your eyes and follow my voice. That rhymed. So sit in a comfortable chair with your feet on the ground. Start by relaxing your muscles as much as is comfortable. Now feel your feet touching the floor beneath you. Notice how the surface below your feet feels like. Take a few moments to really feel the texture of the surface beneath your feet. Now see if you can feel inside your legs and notice what sensations are there. Whether it's tingly, warm, or it can be nothing. You could feel numb in your legs. That's fine as well. Just stay with whatever sensations are present inside your legs. Now let's come up to your thighs and bottom. Feel the chair supporting the weight of your entire body, nice and firm. If you get distracted by your thoughts, that's completely natural. Just bring your attention back into your body. Finally, see if you can feel the inside of your thighs and pelvic area. Notice what sensations are there. Again, it could be anything from tingliness, tightness, pressure, warmth, coolness, or simply numbness. You could perhaps be feeling nothing there. The content doesn't matter as much as you paying attention to it. So spend some moments here to really notice what sensations are present there, what it feels like from inside your thighs and your bottom, your ass. Now feel free to open your eyes. I didn't go into the upper body because it would take it would go on for much longer. But if you're curious, you can play with that on your own after this video. It's not really that difficult. It takes a little patience and attention. But if you make these types of body scans a daily habit, your numbness will start to melt like ice under warm water. Eventually, you reach a point where you can access the frozen memories in your body and shake through them like the antelope. I'm planning to make a free 10-minute guided practice. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. By the way, this is also why yoga is found by research to be super helpful for people healing trauma because it gets you in your body. Body scans is just one of the 11 concrete tools from my entire system to heal numbness from its very roots, that is childhood trauma. So click here to watch this video next, where I share my entire system that I developed after half a decade of healing and research.